Today's episode of Mark Who 42's WHOniverse is brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at www.audibletrial.com/MarkWho42. There are over 150,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. You lucky guys. That's www.audibletrial.com/MarkWho42. And now, here's the show.
Hi, my name is Dahlia Legault. I play Francine on The Walking Dead, and you are listening to Mark Who 42.
Welcome to Mark Who 42. That's right, Mark Who 42, Doctor Who on Krypton Radio. I'm Mark Baumgarten, your host, and with me today is...
Christian Basil. Howdy.
And we've got a great show for you today. We're going to go beyond the WHOniverse with Dahlia Legault, who plays Francine on The Walking Dead. That should be a great interview, don't you think, Christian?
Yeah, it was an excellent interview with Dahlia, and I'm glad we'll get into a little bit more, but we know her character is alive. That's all.
Oh, she's alive. Well, see,
she's
that's
alive.
Important.
We'll explain why. A little spoiler alert there, but yeah, we'll explain why as we go into the episode there.
Well, let's start off today's show with the Doctor Who and other news with your correspondent, Christian Basil. Christian?
Yes, sir. Well, welcome again to the news going to the WHOniverse and beyond. The news today is brought to you by Amazon.com. Now, if you do your shopping on Amazon and you want to help support your favorite podcast, you can do this, and it costs you absolutely nothing but what you normally purchase on Amazon. Simply go to markwho42.net. There is a button you can click on, a link for Amazon, and any purchase that you make, a portion of it will go to Mark Who 42 to continue that we bring you this news, we bring you the podcast, we bring you the latest on our website, everything, and that we continue to bring you the latest news, reviews, and interviews from the WHOniverse and beyond. So we want to thank our sponsor again, Amazon.com, but just don't go to Amazon. You have to actually go to markwho42.net, click on the link that we provide, and anything that you purchase, a portion of it will go to Mark Who 42, and you don't have to buy anything excess. There's no surprise fees or anything. It just comes right from whatever you purchase.
Wow.
As simple as that. So if you're looking for that someone special for this Valentine's Day, or if you're simply saying, hey, I need to go online and make a purchase right now, go to our link on markwho42.net and click on the link for Amazon.com, purchase anything you want, and you're going to be providing some funding for this show to continue. So, yeah, very excited, guys.
Before you get to the news, I just want to give a shout-out to another podcast that's out there. It's called Go Funko Yourself, an unofficial Funko podcast.
Nice.
Now, yeah, it's kind of weird. Christian, you've heard of Funko toys, right? You know those little figures that you could buy at the conventions and at Spencer's, Hot Topic, and all that stuff?
Yeah, I've got actually a couple at home. I've got the 11th and 12th Doctor, and I have Stitch. They're really a nice novelty to look at. They're so adorable. People, I think they've become the hottest thing, and the only thing that I can think of, and God, this probably dates me, is similar to the toys like the Cabbage Patch Kids back in the 80s when I grew up. Now, luckily, nobody's beating each other up for Funko toys, but yeah, I just, I can't go to a comic book store without seeing an entire shelf of them going over there. So it's amazing. These toys are just adorable. I mean, if you have a favorite genre or character or person or villain or hero, there's almost one out there in any geekdom that exists.
Right.
So good on you, Funko.
And you can join Josh and Mike as they preview and review the latest Funko figures, give news about forthcoming Funko toys, and have contests with actual Funko prizes for their listeners to win. They have reviewed Doctor Who Funko toys in the previous episodes, So try them out at GoFunkoYourself.com. And it's spelled exactly like it sounds, GoFunkoYourself.com. Or you can listen to them on iTunes. And they also do, besides Doctor Who and all that stuff, they do Walking Dead stuff. And I'm pretty sure they have a Francine. Wouldn't that be cool? To have Dahlia Legault on your desk while you're listening to this show with our interview with her. That would be kind of cool.
I'm not sure about that, but hey, if it's out there, more power.
So
more power
go
Dahlia.
Funko Yourself at GoFunkoYourself.com. Listen to them, the unofficial Funko podcast on iTunes. Now that
I think you're the only one who can say that with a straight face. That's
I can say it with a straight face because the ka-ching just went. So, okay, so now, we started the news and we haven't given you news. So now here is the news with Christian.
And all this news you can find on marku42.net. First article that we have is for all you fans who are, I think what they call Hulakians, which is the combination.
Hulakians, yes.
Hulakians or Hulaks or
the Hulaks.
If you've ever wanted to imagine some kind of crossover between the Doctor Who and Sherlock, you do have a chance. There's an old video out there that came from the Alexei Sayle show, and for all of you who are classic Who fans, Alexei Sayle actually premiered as the DJ on Doctor Who during the 6th Doctor episode, and I think that, what was that, it was a Dalek episode.
Yeah, it was a Dalek episode. It was he played the DJ who had eyes for Perry. But then again, didn't everyone have eyes for Perry?
Yeah, during that time, and they still do. Still do. But
Nicola, you are good looking.
There you go. But Peter Capaldi actually starred on the new Alexei Sayle show as Sherlock. Not in a serious sense. It is a nice little comic relief. I think it's about 3 to 5 minutes long over there, but you can check it out. Go to marku42.net, click on the YouTube video, and you can actually see for yourself what would it be like if Peter Capaldi actually assumed the role of Sherlock Holmes. What did you think of the video, Mark?
I remember watching this back in the 90s when it first came out because, I've been watching British TV all my life. I find it hysterical. Alexei Sayle, he used to be on The Young Ones. He has been on British television for so long. He is a great stand-up comedian. And I thought the dynamic between him and Capaldi was amazing. And it was funny. It's a funny sketch, and you can watch it on marku42.net.
And you can see the video right there and click for yourself. Staying inside the Whoniverse just a little bit on marku42.net, you can find an article about Mark Gatiss. He is actually giving a little bit of spoiler hints on Series 10. And I'm going to do this for the first time. I'm not going to tell you anything. You need to go to the site and check it out for yourself and see what it says.
That's good. That's a good way to do it, Christian.
He mentions a little bit about Pearl Mackie, who plays Bill in the new series, and I think we've finally given her last name. I think it's Bill Potts.
Yeah.
But I'll just hint this, and this is a quote from him. It says, with the new companion Pearl Mackie, who plays Bill in the 2017 series, you can't pretend that people aren't aware of sci-fi. So she's actually saying things like, isn't that like the little bit in the film? So
she does pop culture references in the show.
Most likely, yeah. So
we've turned into Chuck and Supernatural, guys. Well, I like both those shows. So that's good.
I believe, if I'm not mistaken, BBC America and BBC will be premiering it in April, so just keep an eye out for it. If you're somebody who enjoys spoilers, you're more than welcome to come to marku42.net, check out the article, and read up on what Mark Gatiss says about the upcoming companion and Series 10.
Cool.
Also, I don't know if you've heard of a movie called The Book of Love. It just premiered January 13th here in the States. It stars Jason Sudeikis as Henry, Jessica Biel as Penny, and it also stars our favorite or a Shielder, or whatever she wants to call herself these days, Maisie Williams from Game of Thrones, of course, actress of Doctor Who. And on the website, we do have a bit of a description of the movie, and I'll just read it to you simply. In the movie, we see in a series of flashbacks a man named Henry, an introverted architect who has had everything until the love of his life, Penny, was killed in a car accident while she was expecting their child. After Penny's death and their unborn child's death, Henry falls into depression and is lost. Acting on the promise he's made to Penny before she died, Henry, with the help of his friends, and also with the help of a young teenager named Millie, with her dream of building a raft to sail across the Atlantic to deal with the loss of her father, an adventurer, and sailing to the Arezo Islands. So it's a real tearjerker, and if you come up on the Marku42.net site, bring up the article, you can actually see the trailer of the movie itself. You can click on it. But yeah, from what I understand, I haven't seen this movie. I haven't even heard of reviews or anything, but if you want to check out Maisie for yourself, definitely check it out in theaters. It should be already released.
Yep, and I do like Maisie's acting. I'm not a big Game of Thrones fan, but I've seen some episodes, and she's good in that. And I did like her as a Schilder, so, in this non-science fiction role, I think it might be good, yeah.
Well, this is an interesting take because this kind of caught me off guard, and it's not that in a bad way. It's just that if you guys grew up watching the series Cheers...
Oh, yeah.
He's always going to be Woody to me. And even though he's done a slew of movies, from Natural Born Killers to The Hunger Games to Zombieland, he's always going to be the bartender Woody, who he was making his own drink. And he was trying to put this new drink together, and everybody hated it. And at the end of the episode, he managed to concoct something that everybody loved. And then they ask him, well, what was the recipe? He goes, oh, damn, I forgot. Woody Harrelson is going to be starring in the Han Solo spin-off movie. He will be starring as Han Solo's mentor. I don't know exactly what that means. We don't have too much details onto that. But the more that we know, we'll definitely bring it up on Marku42.net. But he will be in the movie. I don't know. He's done so much work, so much stuff. But I just remember him as the bartender from Cheers all those years ago. So if you wanted to get more information, of course, Marku42.net. You can check out some of the stuff, and I believe there is a video. The more information that we get, the more we'll bring to you.
Do we have any other news, Christian?
Oh, yeah, there's actually more news, but folks, we want you to go to Marku42.net and check it out. Check out more information about Axanar. All you Star Trek fans and Axanar fans, well, there's actually more information. There's good news about the series, but we need you to go to Marku42.net and check it out for yourself.
Oh,
so
go Funko yourself.
Yep. If you want to go start a conversation, go to Marku42.net on all the articles that we mentioned. You got to go to Marku42.net.
I think that's enough self-plugging. Hey, we got birthdays.
Yes, we do.
Oh, the birthday we have for you, the Big 83. Go for it.
The Tom himself, Tom Baker.
Tom Baker, happy birthday.
It's just amazing, totally amazing that he's been around for so long, and he is still loved by fans and adored by everybody who grew up with him, like myself. Yeah. What is your favorite Tom Baker moment?
My favorite... Oh, see, you put me on the spot here.
Maybe you should know this. This should be
I have a lot of Tom Baker moments, so I've got I'll just a random pick. You mean from the show or in the world?
You know what? Either one.
I think my favorite Tom Baker moment is when he does our show. So, and that's a cop-out, but at the same time, it's an invitation to you, Tom.
Yeah.
Please come on our show.
Okay. Aside from
he's been doing Baker's End, and he's done 2 of them already, and the 3rd one is coming out in March, and they are funny. It's an audio play. The fact that he came back to Big Finish and is making new Doctor Who, that is a big seller. The fact that he stayed on as the Doctor for 7 years on the TV show, I mean, there are so many things that Tom brings to me. I loved him on Remington Steele, even though the only words really out of his mouth were, but I don't think he said anything in that episode.
He said a lot, but he wasn't on it a lot.
Okay.
That's what killed it.
That was what it was? Okay. The fact that he was the only good thing in Dungeons and Dragons, the movie.
You actually took mine away.
I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry about that. I actually found the the movie in a dollar bin. And I was like, okay, I'll buy it for $1 just because Tom Baker was in it. And he's only in it for a good, 5 minutes?
I'll buy that for $1.
Yeah, exactly. And I was just like, and I tried so hard to watch that. I tried to watch that movie, and I was just like, it's awful. It didn't embody what was great about the game itself.
No.
And it really just took it. Nobody goes in trying to do a horrible movie and say, except if you're Ed Wood or somebody like that.
No, I don't think Ed Wood was trying to do horrible movies either. I think they just came out that way.
Yeah, you're probably right on that. But I just think, to me, when they made that movie, they didn't embody what was great about the game. And they didn't embody what was great about all the stories. And I had an evil dungeon master who wanted to just kill me every so often. But aside from that, the scene that and I'm sure I think you can find it on YouTube, the scene that Tom Baker only makes an appearance in Dungeons and Dragons, I'm just like, oh God, this movie just got better.
Yeah.
For 5 minutes. And he's talking about elven magic, and it was just like, oh my God. I mean, like... And I was actually listening to the behind the scenes when they were talking about it, and they were ecstatic to get Tom Baker in there. One of the things that they mention is that Elvins are not as tall as Tom. So literally he had to be sitting the whole time, or else he was just going to be this huge tall elf. And they were like, characteristically, elves are, of a shorter stature. And here's this 7-foot bohemian guy playing an elf. So he had to actually stoop down. He actually had to stay seated. He couldn't get up the whole time. He was just basically, when he was doing his healing magic on the kid. But it was a very touching scene for me, only because Tom was in it.
And then the Sinbad movie that he did was amazing and a great audition piece for Doctor Who. And I loved him as Rasputin in Nicholas and Alexandria, which also co-starred Michael Jaston, who we had on a month or two ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Tom is a legend. Tom will always be the Tom in my book.
Also, I saw a trailer for The Mutations.
No.
And the one thing that kind of scared me is that there's a scene where he's in there and literally a piece of spit is hanging out of his mouth, and it kind of turned me off. It's like he's in this. I know he's getting into the mood and he's getting angry, and then all of a sudden this one drop of spit comes dropping out of his mouth, and it's like I know that he was trying to get into character. I was like, oh my God, that's disgusting. And it only reminded me, rivaled of the moment where Timothy Dalton is standing in front of the Time Lords, and there's that little spitting thing going on that you can see in the background. So. Tom, happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Can I give my favorite scene? The scene where he's with Romana, and he's got the key to time all assembled. And he's basically telling Romana, guess what? I have all of time and space at my disposal at my whim. And he does that scene where he flips his eyes in the back of his head, and it looks like he's gone completely insane.
Can you do that with your eyes?
Yeah, I can. Yeah.
You have to do it at the next panel that we do.
He said something to the fact there's no other will in the universe but my will, because I have the key to time. And Romana goes, Doctor, are you all right? And he goes, well, I am all right, but what if I wasn't all right? But it was such an interesting scene. It was a laughing. It was a little, funny moment there. But yeah, it's interesting that he actually, his take, what he brought to that scene is that here's a moment where, what if the Doctor, for a brief moment, just realized what he had? And he goes, you know what? What's stopping me from going insane and taking over the universe and dictating it? But instead said, you know what? I'm going to straighten it out. And he had his fight with the Black Guardian, and then everything was better after he threw the randomizer and put up the shields and dispersed the key to time. But yeah, you're right. There are no singular moments. I mean, I can go through the whole series, Chop Suey, the Galactic Emperor. I mean, there are tons and tons and tons of moments. Some of them I have to be reminded. I think it was the Kroll episode, one of the key to time things. And I think if I remember the line correctly, he's explaining to the people who are worshipping Kroll, and he said something like, Kroll doesn't know the difference between a field of dandelions and a pile of bird droppings or something like that. Just those little moments that I think made up Tom. And he is my first superhero. Against everything, and I've told this to people, I said, against every hero that they've ever put out there, Superman, Batman, everybody, here was a guy who fought off the bad guys by walking in, telling them off, and he was already one step ahead of them, and they didn't even know it. And he would let them play out their thing where they thought that they were better, and they thought they were above him, and they thought he was an idiot. And then all of a sudden he pulled out his sonic screwdriver, or he pulled a lever, or something just happened, and the Doctor goes, hey, no, I'm winning. Yeah. And he always did it with this rapier wit that he just nailed them all. He just nailed them all. He just told them off. Mm-hmm. And that impression seems to be even going now. Like the Rings of Akatan, where, the 11th Doctor was in front of... Well, that's an example.
Yeah.
There's moments like that where, the 11th Doctor with the Atraxes, where he's going, I'm the Doctor, basically run.
Yeah.
Now his reputation for what he has done in the past is enough of a weapon. When the 11th Doctor is standing up on Stonehenge and basically just telling his enemies, I've got no weapons, no plan, no nothing, but I can still defeat you. Go ahead. And he taunts them by telling them, let somebody else try first. I think this attitude started all the way back to Tom Baker's era. Yeah, I'm just long-winded. Happy birthday.
Yeah, long-winded. We said we had 2 birthdays. Who's the other birthday?
Mr. John Hurt.
Ooh.
Welcome, John.
Oh, man. Happy birthday. You brought so many great characters to life, John, and the War Doctor included. So we wish you a very, very happy birthday. I loved you in Alien when you had the chest burster scene. Oh, that was wonderful.
Spaceballs reenacted it and said, no, not again.
Yeah. Claudius. I loved you as Caligula. Happy birthday, man. Okay, so I think we're going to take a break now. When we come back, we will have our interview with Dahlia Legault, who plays Francine on The Walking Dead. So we will be right back after this, here on Krypton Radio.
Coming May 19th through the 21st, Oasis 29 continues to celebrate excellence in science fiction and fantasy. Oasis 29 will take place at the Sheraton Orlando North Hotel, featuring special guest writer Faith Hunter. The best way to see Oasis 29 is with your 3-day weekend membership pass. Your pass will include full admission to all the art exhibits, dealer rooms, guest speakers, writing panels, and of course, a special appearance by your favorite Doctor Who podcast, Mark Who 42. A con suite for nourishment will be available on site. For more information, hotel rooms, and purchase for your tickets, including student discounts, go to www.osfis.org/oasis. Oasis 29 is an event that promotes safe and fun environment for the entire family and upholds that cosplay is not consent. We look forward to seeing you there.
The voice of Christian Basil, take 1.
Hi, I'm Christian Basil, and I would like to provide my voice for all your voiceover needs, such as...
Okay, like an announcer.
Like a what?
Like an announcer.
For all your voiceover needs, such as animation, radio, announcements, introductions...
Now an old man.
I can even record voicemail for all the Meshuggahs that call you.
A pirate.
Arr, and it won't cost you a lot of treasure for me services. Arr.
Creepy movie voice.
Just call 407-761-2679. 407-761-2679. Or email voiceofchristianbasil@yahoo.com. Well, how was that?
That's a wrap.
Doctor Who began its long history back in 1963 and continues to this day. With the worldwide popularity of the show, can you believe that there was a long period of time when the show was absent from the airwaves? We call that the wilderness years. All was not lost, though, during those 16 years. Virgin Publishing and then BBC Books had several original Doctor Who novel lines featuring all the past Doctors and companions. These books are all out of print now, but where can you get them? At Mark Who 42 Books on Amazon. If you love to read and love Doctor Who, these books are cool. If you're a diehard Whovian needing to fill in gaps of your collection, Fantastic! We also have annuals and reference manuals. All books are in new and like-new condition. If you're interested, go to amazon.com/shops/markwho42 and see for yourself. That's amazon.com/shops/markwho42.
Hey everybody, this is Chris Harrelson. I am a featured walker on The Walking Dead, and you're listening to Mark Who 42.
Welcome back to Mark Who 42, taking you to the WHOniverse and Beyond. My name is Christian Basil, and with me is the lovely Iggy Matthews. But even lovelier on this show, we have a special guest. She's from AMC's The Walking Dead. We have Dahlia Legault. Hey, Dahlia, how you doing?
Good. How are we doing here?
Doing great. We've entered a new year unscathingly.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah, and it's great to be starting. You know what? I'm optimistic about the new year. I'm totally over the rainbow about this. I'm hoping it gets better, because you know what, we just had a downer through 2016 with everybody who we had lost and everything. Everything that has gone on. We somebody hit the reset reboot button on this year, and hopefully things get better. So I'm optimistic, but that's just me.
Yeah, that's okay. Let's ignore the fact that that's exactly how we started 2016. But
yeah, that's
cool.
True.
Every year, this one's gonna be better.
Have you ever watched MASH, Dahlia?
I mean, yeah, years ago when I was a kid.
Yeah, the classics are. We were doing a recording for New Year's for Krypton Radio. They actually had an introduction New Year's, and we actually were invited to come on live. And while I was flipping around, I actually saw within the first moment of 2016, Wayne Rogers had passed. The gentleman who was Trapper, John M.D. And I thought nothing of it. It was just like, oh well, that. Bad timing, but I didn't think that was going to be the precursor of how 2016 was going to just come in,
right,
with the Reaper and just knock everything out. But speaking of...
Right, so it was Prince, David Bowie,
Alan Rickman.
Alan Rickman was the one that broke my heart.
It broke everybody's.
Gene Wilder.
Yeah, oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, and Abe Vigoda, the man who would never die.
Yeah.
The man who's been in the tabloids saying he's dead. Now finally we get to say it. And there were so many great people that we lost.
So many great people, yeah.
But speaking of wonderful people, we have Dahlia with us. And Dahlia, tell us a little bit about yourself, that people may not be familiar with your work on The Walking Dead, or just people may not be familiar with you.
I would say that, definitely, The Walking Dead was my first television excursion. I started in theater when I was very, very young. And honestly, I had pretty much planned to do theater for my entire life. Oh. Several things came up, but of course I realized that, you don't make it a lot of money doing theater. It's very hard to, unless you're big and top and doing, main Broadway shows. I don't really think you could ever, have it be your number one source of income, especially at the time where I was living. I've always lived in I was born and raised in Montreal, but then I moved to Florida when I was very young, when I was about 14. Uh-huh. My mother is American. And yeah, in the Southeast, there's just not a lot of opportunity to do so. So it was odd. I had moved to North Carolina, and all of a sudden I noticed that I was seeing friends of mine on TV all over the place. And I was like, well, how is this happening? I got in contact with a bunch of my friends back in Tampa, and they said that a large portion of the television industry and film industry has moved to the southeastern portion of the United States. Uh-huh. A large percentage of it is done now in Georgia and in Louisiana. So I moved back to Tampa. I got in touch with some friends, and it was really just, I think I was just in the right place at the right time, really. Because I came back and, my roommate, Ricky Wayne, who was also on The Walking Dead, he played Officer O'Donnell, I think his name was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The guy that Beth throws down the elevator shaft.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's Ricky Wayne. Ricky Wayne was, I moved back to Tampa and I moved in with him, and he basically gave me a lot of good advice. He says, go and see this acting coach. She'll, get you in touch with some really good agents. So I went to a woman's name. Her name is Kathy Laughlin. I started going to her class. She introduced me to my present agent, Tracy Danielle, who works for Brevard Talent Group. Tracy Danielle then says, well, you definitely want to go get photos from this photographer. I went and got photos, and then I met the Fincannons, who are the casting directors for a large portion of the southeastern television industry. So, and then I met them, and after I met them, about a month later, I was booked on the show. So,
wow.
Yeah, and it was like the succession of things that happened, one after another that just, kind of just slid me right in there. So yeah, there's something to be said about one, being in the right place at the right time.
Right.
And also, it was only when I started treating acting as a business and not just as a dream, It was when I started to treat it like work, like actual work, and started doing, half of the stuff you need to do is the networking. And yeah, and it was only when I started doing that things started to happen. So
Yeah, because I've noticed from your biography that you went out to college and sought out a bachelor's in theater. And when I noticed that, the first thing that kind of came to my mind is, what goes through your head when you make such a permanent life-affecting decision like that? I mean, you could have gotten a business degree or something as a backup, but you went right in.
I mean, yeah, I mean, no, my, I'm not going to start talking about my entire life because it would take 5 hours, but it was odd. I only got to go to college when I was maybe like 22 or 23. There was a lot of things that held me back from doing a lot of the stuff that I should have done way earlier. I tell everybody, like, I think I have like this 10-year delay in my life. Like where I am now, probably I should have been when I was, 23 as opposed to 33, but I got to a very late start. So for a long time, I was told by my family that acting is not something that you pursue as a career.
Of course.
It's something that it's something that you pursue as, a hobby, a pastime. You'll never succeed,
Right.
and this is to be said about a lot of people. And, I was talking to somebody about it last night, how she says that, she's very young, that her family tells her the same thing. And I said, I mean, of course, it's a hard decision to make because most of the time, you're going to be still working in restaurants and such,
Right, it's a gamble.
It's a gamble. It's a total gamble. But at the same time, had I had the support, one, when I was younger, or had I not been so convinced by what people were telling me back then, I probably could have succeeded a lot earlier. But it wasn't until I was, 23 where it was like, you know what, screw the job that's just going to pay my bills well enough for me to be somewhat comfortable in life.
Mm-hmm.
And I left that. And I mean, I dropped everything and like I ran. And so like I went out on my own, just got myself into school immediately, and I just started doing it. And I would say that a large reason for it is because, here I am, I'm 22. I was very, very depressed. Very, very depressed.
Mm-hmm.
And it was almost like I was like, I have nothing to look forward to anymore. And I needed something to look forward to. I needed something that was going to keep me going and, a purpose of life. And it was just a decision. I was like, you know what, let's go back to the original plan. And from then on, it's been nothing but, the goals never stop.
The words that you speak really do strike a very personal chord with myself and that of, I'm sure, a lot of listeners here, because my family immediately would say something like, "Oh, honey, well, be lawyer or be doctor," and I'm just like, that's not what I want to do. That is not what I want to do. And, like I decided to follow a path of entertainment, and it is very difficult, especially as a female. It is very difficult. And, you speaking of depression really, hits a note for me, because that's something that's very real, something that we struggle with. And a lot of the times, if you're trying to get from point A to point B, you don't have time for depression.
No. And usually, and honestly, a lot of times I just distract myself.
Yep.
You keep yourself distracted. Or like I said, like if I've achieved a goal, then it's like I immediately have to find something else to conquer. Immediately.
At what age did you come down and move to Florida?
I was 14.
You're 14. Okay, so you were kind of like me, and I can totally relate to this story because I went to college as well for an acting degree.
What?
And not the online kind, Iggy.
No, I'm Googling that.
Real? Well, you're Googling to see if I went to college?
Google knows everything.
Oh, okay. Yeah, fine, bye. Anyway, I went to college because I found a love for theater in high school. And when I was in high school, I had a passion and a run for it, and but I also kind of knew my limitations because of my body size and because I wasn't much of a memorizer. I was pretty much, always the background guy or always the father to one of the characters or something like that. And when I got to Rollins, when I got to college, the running joke down here is if you are going to school for your acting degree, you are a future theme park employee.
Right.
So,
I wanted to go to Rollins. I heard that's an amazing college, is it not? Yes, no?
Just for another episode. Gosh,
Okay.
I don't want to go. Well, I mean, the love that I had for theater going in high school, since we're going to be very candid about this, I had totally lost in college. And it was a different, I don't want to say, I want to say bullying, maybe a little bit of a weird and a harsher term that I'm trying to convey, because that is the industry. It kicks people and spits them out, and you try to strive to do better things. And plus, I was literally working 3 jobs, and I lived off campus. So doing something for theatrics to spend the amount of time that was required to be in the show, I could not be in. And my grades suffered. In fact, as funny as it sounds, instead of ending up in theater, I ended up in the last thing I wanted to be in, which was student government. Go figure.
What?
Yeah, exactly. So,
I mean, I guess that could be entertaining.
but I understand your point. This is a very, very hard field for anybody to be in. Everybody wants
Savage.
Everybody wants to grab that golden ring and then only figure out that there's only one golden ring, about 1,000 people on the carousel trying to grab it at the same time. So, I mean, where did you find your strength to come back years later and said, you're going to reboot this, you're going to start it all over and try it again?
It was, I mean, really, and actually this is, and I don't even think I ever told my sister this, but, so I have a younger sister who is extremely successful. She, she was salutatorian of her high school. She went to Notre Dame.
Oh my God! Typical younger sibling. You're overdoing it. Can you stop?
I mean, granted, a lot of things. She got away easy. She had a very easy upbringing as opposed to mine, which again I'm not going to get into all that sob story. But it was kind of like I was at home. I was still like technically living with my parents. I was working. I was going on like traveling jobs. Like I worked with this team that it was called a reset store. We basically reset all of the Eckerd drugstores into the CVS's. I don't know if you remember when that happened.
Yeah. Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
So I worked on that. So I was traveling a lot, and all of a sudden my sister gets accepted to Notre Dame, and it kind of like woke me up. I was like, I didn't know that people who were because I wasn't living in the greatest household at the time, and we were kind of like very low income household, and I was just it kind of like slapped me awake. I was like, wait a second. I was like, I didn't know stuff like that could happen to people like us,
Right.
Yep. And that's the thing, you listen to people so much, and you're constantly, people are constantly kicking you down this ladder that you're trying to climb. And I think I had given up, I had given up, and all of a sudden that happened, and I was just like, wow. I was like, well, if she can do something like that, I can probably do something like that too, and it
sure enough, look at you.
And so I was like, okay, well, let me see if I can do something like that, and it took me a lot longer. It took me a lot of time to figure things out, but at the same time, again, there's a lot to be said about support. I did the entire thing on my own completely, and there was a lot of mistakes that I made. A lot of mistakes, which is why I think it took me so long. It was a whole learning process. But no, it was that. I came home, I quit my job, I packed my stuff up, I moved to Tampa, and I got myself in school. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to start here. We'll start here, and then we'll see where this goes, where this can take me. And like I said, then it was just a matter of steps, of jumping from one platform to another. Again, a lot of mistakes, because sometimes there was 2 directions to go, and I had absolutely no...
You didn't have a GPS.
I didn't have a GPS. They didn't exist then.
They didn't exist.
No, we had MapQuest, and that thing wouldn't load.
We had MapQuest.
MapQuest wouldn't load, so I'm lost. It only printed out half the directions because I forgot to put 8.
I didn't have a printer, so I'd have to write the entire thing down.
On your hand, so half of it's smeared.
Back in the old days,
God, those were awful times.
In the back days, it wouldn't even, if you had to make a U-turn, it didn't understand U-turn, so it made you go 5 blocks up, make a left turn around this block, and then come back and go what the hell did I just do? It's just what kind of time warp did I go into in the Twilight Zone to go down?
Yes, honestly, I don't know which one's worse, MapQuest directions or my best friend's direction. If you cross the railroad tracks, you've gone too far. Tunk tunk. Oh my God, are you serious? Those are
Wow.
great times. Yeah, thank God the 90s are over, along with the inflatable furniture. Anyways, so,
Oh, and the jellies. Remember those jelly shoes?
oh my God, the gel. No, no, no. Remember when everybody wanted an iMac, that egg-looking computer? Oh my God. I look back at it, I'm like, no, no.
The
I only liked
ugliest
it
thing
for
in
the
the
teal
world.
color.
So let me get this straight. I just have a monitor and nothing else, right?
You know, sometimes I think that The Walking Dead is the 90s because we keep trying to bring it back. I'm like, no, stop it. Stop it. And it's like Backstreet Boys are coming back with an album. I'm like, all right, maybe that's fine. Maybe that's fine.
Oh, really?
Just that one. Just that one. Everything else from the 90s stays in the 90s. Yeah, The Walking Dead, though. So, how did that happen? So, you're just like, okay, I'm just gonna, did you just like get an email? Like, did you do something? Like, how did that whole
So the
thing
way
bud
the
for
way
you?
that it works in the Southeast is very rarely do you have to go in for a live audition. Now because we have the lovely internet, you tape essentially at home and you just send it through email or send it through uploading services.
Nice.
And actually, another key ingredient to the whole thing was that when I moved in with Ricky Wayne, whenever you do these auditions, you can't really just do it with your cell phone. You have to go to there are people around town who essentially are there to put you on tape. They charge you like anywhere from like $25 to $40. They read the other side of the audition sheet for you while they're recording you, and then they send it to your agent for you. So Ricky Wayne had one of these things within his house, and that's what he does when he's not acting.
Convenient.
Yeah, exactly. And because I was living with him, one of the nice catches I got by living in his house was that all those tapings I got done for free, which was amazing. So yeah, that's how I got that, and that's how I get. I've only gotten so far 2 other nice TV credits, and those as well are just from home taping, and you send them through the internet. I think this is something that is still preliminarily done in the Southeast. I think in New York, in places like New York and Los Angeles, everything is still done live. You have to go to a location and actually meet the people. And I was having a conversation with, I think his name is Stephen Ogg, one of the actors on Walking Dead. And it is a little uncomfortable when talking to the bigger wigs from like Los Angeles and New York, because when they find out that you came from Florida from a taped audition, I think they get offended in some way.
Wow.
I haven't really figured it out. But
Whoa, this recording is absolutely beneath
time I
us.
tell somebody I'm from Tampa, they're like, "Oh, I don't
Oh,
know."
you recorded at home. I went into a theater, and
Oh my God.
and I read and memorized lines and everything.
Well, no, and we memorize lines too.
No, no,
Granted,
I'm just.
Yeah.
Oh my God, no, they treat you like you're from the ghetto of theater. Like, really?
Exactly. Precisely. We're almost treated like we're like the store brand versus the name brand.
Right.
Yeah, she's great value. We're over here
It's
like,
really rough. It's so rough, and that really puts like
Juilliard.
this extra hurdle in the entire thing. Where I'm just like, all right, well, I thought this was going to be this huge dream come true, and then all of a sudden I get here, and there are these weird there's this weird hierarchy going on within the system as well. So yeah, it doesn't really it's almost like I thought I had reached the top of the mountain, but then I got to when I was climbing, all of a sudden I noticed that no, I'm only like a quarter up the hill.
oh my God, that's
You know what I
terrible.
mean? I was like, oh, I see. This is just the beginning. I still have this huge thing to conquer. And I wish I had known that prior to walking into it. That would have been somebody could have made me aware of. But yeah, I was just unaware. So it's still something that I deal with sometimes when going onto set. And some of my friends were like, oh, well, I just lie about where I'm from. And then I'm like, you know what? Screw that. I'm like, yeah, I'm from Tampa. I'm like, yeah, and I'm still on the same show that you're on,
I'm from Tampa, Section 8 housing, as a matter of fact.
Exactly.
And I'm sharing the same air as you. It's nice.
I performed at Juilliard, and you came from Florida, South Tech somewhere.
She came from the Beyond section of Bed Bath & Beyond.
There you go. It's most of the Beyond part. Well, speaking of which, you apparently in this business are a survivor, much like to Francine, who is also a survivor. Tell us a little bit about your character and how you developed her through the series?
When I first Francine was the second person that I auditioned within The Walking Dead. And when I got it, it was just, one thing that was always told to me was that, I have a huge amount of strength. I perform a lot of strength and all the theater gigs that I do all the time too. I'm never the ingenue. I'm always the tougher one within each situation.
Right.
And so when I first got, just the signs to it, I just, I just connected with her very easily.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and it's kind of funny, and I heard this from other actors too, is that, when you audition for something and you've booked the role, kind of before you find out you booked the role, there's this weird, odd inkling of a feeling that you get that you hit something.
Kind of like a car accident.
Like there was something about Francine when I put that audition on tape. I was like, I think this is the one. I was like, this one felt different than everything else I've put on tape. Mm-hmm. Like I didn't have to think a lot to do what I did with her. It just kind of clicked, and that was different. And so yeah, and actually they didn't really give me a lot of time. They don't give you a lot of time. I think I auditioned for the role on a Sunday. I sent the tape in on the Monday. I got the call on Thursday, and they said that on Thursday, I'm talking to my agent. She's like, okay, well, you have to be there tomorrow to do your fitting. So I was like, okay, I had to go into work and say, hey, I'm leaving. Sorry, please don't fire me, but I'm leaving. So I drove to Atlanta Friday, drove back to Tampa on Saturday.
Nice drive.
Then drove back to Georgia on Sunday because I had to be there on Monday morning to shoot the scene. So It's a week. Yeah, I had a week. And I would say I'm kind of glad at first that Francine always has lovely FaceTime, but she doesn't really speak a lot yet. So I was kind of, thankful for that because I didn't have a lot of time to prepare anything. Her first scene was just very high action. And then of course the famous Tobin punch in the face, nice. which is what she's kind of known for. But yeah, so, and at the beginning, I just noticed like, okay, well, this is something that's similar to my strength and my, I don't take anyone's BS. I kind of looked into what they did within the actual graphic novel where, she was kind of paralleling Holly, which they've since kind of done away with that storyline. But yeah, there wasn't really a lot of thought process to go into it. She's just a very strong individual who does not take crap from anybody, and she believes in her own system. And I'm really curious to see how things fold out, if they will do anything with her. Is she going to be somebody who, sometimes I'm afraid that she might actually end up being somebody who works against the main group of people,
Oh.
Nice.
I think about that a lot. And I have no idea what they're going to do.
Well, now you got me thinking about it. So.
Yeah, right? Right?
Well, then there's the infamous scene with you and Abraham, Francine and Abraham together, running away. And, when I look at this picture, I'm like, okay, hold on. How terrifying, really, are these zombies? Because you got to work with them. Okay.
Oh, I mean,
I'm just like, I think that at some point they're going to tell me, wow, that was some really good acting. I'm like, who said I was acting?
Nah, I would say, it's kind of funny, like, in between the takes, everyone's just kind of hanging out. So, like, the zombies get up and are laughing with you.
I get the feeling that you probably have been walking around with Chris Harrelson and he pulls out his vape and there we go.
Exactly.
God, it's hot out here.
Yeah. Like everyone's just hanging out. I would say that one time we went to eat lunch and these two hero zombies were eating lunch with us and like in full makeup and they're like trying to shove the food through the layers of makeup into their mouth.
God, it's so hot here. I feel like my face is melting.
I would say at that point, then it became uncomfortable because I'm like trying to eat my food, and they're just like all like shiny and like gross, and I don't know. So that was a little.
The only thing that would have made that better is if they growled a little bit.
Oh,
We're gonna go out for shawarma, except for you, Bob. I'm sorry, the makeup is just not No, that's not going to work.
See, now I just had this image of Alec Baldwin and Gina Davis from Beetlejuice, and they're falling apart in that scene, and
Oh, that's
they say
right.
that one thing in their mouth, and
That's
his
right.
mouth
And like the
off.
jaw falls off.
Yeah, and I'm thinking to myself, you're eating there, all of a sudden one of the zombies, their jaw falls right into their soup. I'm like,
Right?
oh jeez,
Right.
that's the kind of stuff I want to see.
Yeah, I just be like, and I'm done. I am done. I'm not hungry anymore.
Now, one of the things I'm happy about with is that your character, for about 3 seconds, I get to see in the church, sitting there, and I was going like, yes, she survived. She's still in the show.
Still alive.
She's still alive. And
So I will say there's something to be said about, sometimes when I'm there, and I would say all throughout season 6, they definitely, after that huge scene that I did, they kind of put Francine into the background.
Yeah.
You rarely see her, but the fact that she's still around, and they do actually, the fact that I went there that day, I didn't have any lines, but then that they used the footage of me in a very, I would say, convenient way. I mean, they did keep that thing on me, that camera on me, for a solid count of time. And so I'm like, are they doing that with a purpose? Are they saying, hey, everybody, remember her? Don't forget about her,
Well, they have those little subtleties that they put in there. The best, I guess, term for to use is Easter eggs. They'll throw something in there. And the way I equate it is it's kind of like a Moffat Doctor Who episode. What appears in episode 1 of series 3 will have a whole storyline in series 4, episode 2. So if you're not watching and not paying attention, you just missed out something that you were supposed to be watching, and then this catches you off guard, and then that makes people go back and go, wait a minute, what did I miss in series 3?
What I think about a lot is what they did with Beth, and how Beth, she starts in season 2, how she has that breakdown, remember? And then she's like passed out in the bedroom for the entire season.
Yeah.
So same thing probably happened with her, that she started and all of a sudden she probably didn't get called onto set for the entirety. No, I think she wakes up, at the end of season 2 and the whole barn thing happens.
Mm-hmm.
And then, and then I mean, of course, there was always like, the singing along in the prison. She always had like sing-songy things, but she didn't have, really her huge season came in season 5. So
Right.
She waited an entire 3 seasons. And then of course what happens, they kill you off once they give you the good screen time.
Right.
Yeah, just
a curse.
Just don't kill me before I get the good screen time. So this is an example of a person who just was waiting around for 3 years before anything really happened. So that's what I'm kind of hoping will happen eventually.
Oh my God, it just reminded me, and I know we're going back to our primary geekdom Doctor Who, but there's in the 5th Doctor series, there's a character named Turlough, and for a while they had so many companions. Have you seen Doctor Who?
No, I used to watch it as a child, like the older one. But yeah, not the newer one. I should.
That's okay.
I don't watch TV. I don't watch TV.
Oh, okay. Well, they had 3 companions, and at some point the writers didn't know how to write the companions. So one of these companions named Turlough somehow ended up either in jail, stuck behind a rock, disappeared, got kidnapped, and throughout like the whole season, something happened to him, and then they just focused on the other 2 girls, and he was stuck somewhere. So that's how they kind of figured out the Tolo equation, but that's what that kind of got me thinking. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking right now I can use that Stephen Wright joke that people will probably come up and say, you know what, I know I'm going to get killed off because my contract has an expiration date on it.
So, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me with all the FaceTime that you got, for there to be something along the lines of, now you got to do something in Alexandria, but nobody told you that. You're just kind of like, oh, hey, by the way, here's your lines.
It's kind of it's really odd the way they work things in there, because like, I don't know if you guys know, but even if you're a main person on there, they don't tell you when you're getting killed off until like a day before they shoot the scene.
Wow.
So that's the thing, that whole argument as to like who got Lucille at the end of season 6, I'm almost positive that nobody on the cast knew until they started filming season 7. I'm pretty certain. You only find out when you come to set, and you get like, the most you'll get is a week. The most notice you'll get is a week.
Well, for a real job, that would suck.
That would be terrible.
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
For no rhyme or reason, we're just done with you. Goodbye. You have 1 week. You don't have to give us 2 week notice. You get 1 week notice.
Not even a 24-hour notice, and you're just getting killed off.
Exactly.
Goodbye.
Yeah.
You know.
But at the same time, working on a show like this, that's something that you should be prepared for. I think that, if they decide to do anything huge with Francine in the future, I don't think she has a long lifespan. I do not think so. I don't think so. I think it'll be one of those things, where, the minute she gets a good story, then she'll just be gone.
Like everybody else.
Like everybody else, yeah. Which, you know what? Of course, I have no argument to that. Already, I have no arguments, even though Francine has been very non-active. The fact that the first television gig I booked was on the #1 show in the world.
Right.
I have no complaints. And, of course, also, said, the amount of income that everybody, derives from it is ridiculous. So, of course, no complaints about that either. Never. But
we are good.
We weren't saying
yes,
anything.
exactly. I'm like, that's fine. I'll just stand here. I'll be in back. I'll just be over here.
Nice.
But at the same time, sometimes it can get frustrating where, I have been on this show for 3 seasons, and sometimes I don't really feel like I'm doing any acting work because I'm not really acting. Standing there with a very serious look on my face is about all I do. And sometimes that gets a little frustrating. But again, mild complaints.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, you are an actual character, a survivor in this show. It would be different to be like, oh yeah, I'm on The Walking Dead as a dead body that just lays there.
Well, I mean,
for one
definitely,
episode.
So, for instance, when I first went, and a lot of my friends who have been on the show, I know Ricky Wayne. There was Justin Kuselin, who played Ethan Hilltop. He's a big buff guy with who stabs Xavier. So I know there's about I would say 5 or 6 people that I know in Florida who have been on the show, and a lot of them only work a day. They go there, they get there, and they're dead by the end of the episode. And I'm sure, if you watch the show, you notice that there'll be this awesome character who comes in at the beginning of the scene, and they have this whole storyline throughout the one episode, but then they're dead by the end. And a lot of times what will happen is that when they have characters like this, many of them, you'll never hear their name. You'll see a person, if you don't hear their name throughout the first half of the episode, you can almost be certain that they'll be dead by the end. So when I got there, I thought the same thing. I thought, I'm only booked for a day. I'm only scheduled for a day. I'll be dead by the end of the episode. And so I get there, and we do that scene, and I notice that I'm not dead. So I'm trying to ask everybody on set,
why
am I coming back? And of course they can't release any of the information either. So I just left and thought, okay, well, maybe I'll come back, maybe I won't. And then when other people told me, they're like, wait, you have a name on the show? I'm like, yeah, my name is Francine. And they're like, oh no, you're definitely going back. The fact that they gave you a name on the you're a character, they're like, they're going to do something with that.
That's kind of like when I bring a wild animal when I was younger. I don't do that anymore. But I bring a wild animal from outside, and my dad's like, you need to put that outside. I'm like, why would I put Richie outside? He goes, you named it? Now we have to keep it. You named it? Yeah, that's what it
Dahlia
reminds me
Legault, pet of The Walking Dead.
of. Wild animal.
Wild animal of The Walking Dead.
That we named.
She has a name.
Now we have to keep her.
So if anything happens on the show, you can go, listen, I've got a name.
Right?
Can't get rid of me that easily, boys.
Yeah. So, but then, yeah, at the same time, it's kind of like, just as in the way that they never tell somebody, when they're getting killed off. All throughout season 6, I was just kind of in limbo. I was just waiting for that telephone to ring to say when I was going back. And sometimes they only gave me a week's notice.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was like, I
can't work with that.
Yeah. And then my agent would call, be like, okay, well, they need you, in 2 weeks for 2 days. I'm like, okay. And I'd drive out there, come back. And then a few months later, same thing would happen. And yeah, one time they called me on a Thursday, and they're like, can you be here on Monday? I'm like, I mean, I guess. I'm not gonna say no.
I'm busy doing. We're having one of those chocolate fondue dip parties on that day.
I have to wash my hair.
Exactly.
It's my dog's birthday. I'm having a party for him.
And I have to wash my hair.
I laugh if they say bring the dog.
Bring the dog.
We got a cake over here. We literally have a puppy cake shop over here. Just bring the dog. It's like, crap, now I have to find a dog.
So, Dahlia, where could people find you online? Where is your web presence at?
You know what? I'm in the process of making my actual own website.
Ooh.
So that should be up very soon. I plan to have it up there maybe like in a week or two, at most a month. So right now I actually there is no DahliaLegault.com yet. But, of course, I am on Twitter and Instagram. I would say please follow me. It's just my name, Dahlia Legault. And, yeah, I would say, if you reach out to me, I'll reach out to you. And that's about all I got right now.
And the thing is that what I love about you is how down-to-earth you are and how relatable you are. Because literally, I feel like I could just sit here and be like, all right, so definitely acting kind of sucks. So definitely think this through. Because I don't have the patience for that, man. You want to call me up on Thursday saying, can you be here on Monday? And I'm like, I don't know, can you be here?
Right.
With that just notice?
I was like, if you can get me there, in the process while I'm sleeping, yes. Have somebody pick me up in my bed and just drive me there themselves. Yeah, but.
Yeah, 2017. Come on. Why do we not have teleportation?
Honestly.
Jeez.
Or just tubes, like huge, like sliding tubes,
Oh, kind of like the bank,
places.
when you slide your cash into little tubes.
Yeah.
The bank. I know that doesn't exist anymore, but it was so cool when I was a kid to watch that. I wouldn't be looking forward to the sound though. You just go in there, you jump in, thump. Oh, gosh.
That's the way. That's the way of travel for the future.
People they're not even tubing. I'm going tubing to North Carolina.
Tubing.
Tubing.
Underwater
that feels so much
like
fun.
Finland, no?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's all great until like something awful happens. 57 million people were killed tonight in a horrible tubing crack.
Right.
And never go tubing ever again.
Speaking of the future, do you have any upcoming projects coming up along the line?
Not die on The Walking Dead?
I was like, you know what? I was like, I do have some amazing ones, but if I would say, yeah, you know what? I can't talk about any of them.
Okay, well.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, that's cool.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Yeah. It kind of sucks being a non-disclosure all the time. I would say, how about this? There is a new show coming up on VH1 called Daytime Divas.
Oh wow.
It's hilarious.
Wait, somebody's making a show about my life?
Right.
Oh my god, no.
So
I object.
I would say, if anything, once that show begins on VH1, I would say hop on it. You will be cracking up beginning to end.
Gotcha.
I may or may not be on there.
Okay.
We can neither confirm nor deny the allegations therein of, no.
Well, there's this TV show on some kind of music television network that used to play music television, but you can see.
I love the way that she advertised herself just now. It's like, there's this totally awesome show with this totally awesome chick in it. Can neither confirm or deny that it is me, but you should totally watch it.
Well, Dahlia, thank you so much for coming on the show. Definitely everybody catch the premiere of The Walking Dead and see if Francine is still on there. And we have our fingers crossed, hopefully, that she is.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Just more than just a scene in a pew, for crying out loud. Give her 5 seconds this time. 6.5. Hey,
Right.
A little bit more there. Dahlia, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're
Thank you
super
so much.
awesome.
Wow, that was a great interview, man. Oh, I learned a lot about Dahlia. She can come back on the show at any time she wants, Christian.
Absolutely. And hopefully, if her character gets bigger on the show, that's what I'm looking forward to, because as we explained during the interview, some points that I wouldn't say, one of the minor characters kind of leaves or teeters off, and then all of a sudden, the next season, they become an integral part of what's going on, or an important part. So I'm hoping that's what's going to be happening with Francine, that they're saving her for maybe 2 seasons down, or maybe even this season, for something even bigger for her. So for Dahlia, I'm sure that will make. I'm sure that's going to change her big time. But yeah, it's good to know that she's still in the series.
Yeah, Dahlia Legault from The Walking Dead. Christian, do we have any conventions or appearances we are making in the near future as Mark Who 42?
Actually, yeah, some of these are just going to be repeats, just to remind the audience about our appearances. But I am going to bring you 2 new conventions that we were confirmed at just recently.
Oh, wow.
And if you've been paying attention, you probably know that we've been there before, but we just recently said we were welcome back over there. But first of all, starting off on the calendar, February 4th in Ocoee, Florida, we will be at the grand opening of Highlander Novelties. We are very, very excited about this. We've never been to a grand opening of anything.
No, this is nice.
Christian and Wendy, who are the owners of the store, and we've actually seen them on the convention circuit, but it is actually so nice that they're going to have a physical brick building that they can have, and they are planning to have an event at the store once a month. And I'm really excited about this because we do have comic book stores throughout the Orlando area and the Central Florida area, but I like the idea that we might be calling this home one day. Yeah. I like that we actually not only know the owners, but we have a connection with them, and we've been touring with them at conventions. I don't think he's going to stop the touring. I think he's going to continue on.
He's continuing doing it. He's doing that.
Well, good for him. So he's finally got a brick building that people can walk into, and it's nice to know that it's family run. And when I went over there, I was actually invited to come on New Year's Day, and I actually came over, and they were still building it up, but there's a lot going on with this store.
Yeah. I actually was there last weekend.
You were?
Yeah, I was there. It's definitely.
Well, how was it? What'd you think of
I liked it. They have comics. They have toys. They have some Funkos. They have, and if you want like a decal or something, they can actually make it for you on premises. They have the machines here that they sell.
Oh, that's right.
The decals they sell at the conventions, they can custom order you a decal for your car or window right there when you're there. They've got signs. Oh, they have Hogwarts stuff, and they have Hitchhiker's Guide, and all different kinds of science fiction genre merchandise. And it's a nice place. And they're the grand opening should be fun. When we're there, we're actually going to be allowed to sell Doctor Who books and Big Finish audio at this grand opening.
Awesome.
So it's going to be really cool. And we'll get to meet the fans, and there's going to be a special movie makeup guy who's going to be there, and someone from The Walking Dead's going to be there too, one of the walkers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a fun event. Be there February 4th. So it's in Ocoee, Florida, and definitely look out for it. You can go on to Facebook, type in Highlander Novelties. You can get the exact address there. GPS it. It's right basically off the turnpike and down a road or two.
Mm-hmm.
Get off.
And you don't even have to wait for the grand opening. You can go right now and visit
It's
Christian and Wendy and the family down there.
So,
right, but you definitely want to come to the grand opening because there's going to be games and such going on over there. Christian hasn't revealed yet to what we're going to be doing, but like Mark said, we're going to be selling.
That's what we're doing.
We're making an appearance, and we're going to be selling merchandise down there as well. And we're going to be we're just big supporters of Christian and Wendy in their endeavors. So more power to you guys out there. We'll see you on the 4th. And still on that same month, we will be on February 19th heading to Tampa, and we will be performing at Time Lord Fest, presented by Ken Spivey. It's going to be for one day, so keep that in mind, please. It's not an entire weekend. It will be Sunday, February the 19th at the Events Factory in Tampa, Florida. So definitely want to get your tickets as early as possible. If you go to their Facebook site for Time Lord Fest 2017, I think they still might be selling their tickets at discounted rates, but that is going to be closing up soon. So depending on when you hear this episode, definitely get over there as quickly as possible. Grab your tickets because the prices are scheduled to go up very, very shortly as we get closer to the event. We're just going to have a great time out there. We will be hosting panels. We'll be doing Q&A. And if you remember us from years previous, with the exception of last year, we're all going to have a great time. You're going to be with Whovians, and it's a very, very enjoyable experience for Whovians. And if you have never been there, you definitely want to get out there, just for the fact that you're going to be with friends and people who are Whovians. I mean, what's amazing, I've said this before, is Whovians are incredible when they're in a big bunch.
And what's interesting is, if you couldn't get tickets to Gallifrey in California, it's the same weekend, so you can go and still enjoy Doctor Who. It really will be fun. I, myself, won't be there because, and I'm going to this is also a plug. I'm going to Mardi Gras in New Orleans. The Saturday, the day before Time Lord Fest, is the Crew to Chewbacca's parade, and that's the science fiction parade, and Crew to Who will be marching. A Doctor Who club will be marching in the parade, so I'm going to be watching that. It's going to be really fun. But definitely, if you're in Florida, go to Time Lord Fest. You'll have a great time. We are hosting a hell of a lot of panels, and we'll be moderating some of the interviews. It should be fun, right, Christian?
It's going to be awesome. If you've never been to a Time Lord Fest, it is an experience unlike any other. And plus, you're going to see Mark 42 there. So definitely be there. And be there if you happen to be in Louisiana. Go see Mark during that parade that he just mentioned there. I'm going to do this real fast because I want to make sure we mention the 2 conventions that are coming up. Definitely our first out-of-state as a group together, WHOlanta, will be taking place May 7th through the 9th, another confirmed convention. If you haven't gotten tickets now, please do so. We do have a link on our website about that, and we will be performing and being out there with special guest Colin Baker at the Atlanta Marriott Century Center. I keep on tripping over those last 2 words. That's why I got to say it slowly. So the Atlanta Marriott Century Center, May 7th through the 9th. Get your tickets now. Book your rooms if you're coming from out of town. Definitely want to catch that out there with the 6th Doctor. And now, the 2 new conventions. Well, they're actually not new, but want to confirm 2 conventions that are taking place. Both of them, MegaCon. Of course, you've seen notes out there. Both of them, we were excited to be at the premiere of the MegaCon Tampa Bay Convention, and we have been welcomed back to both. So, MegaCon Orlando taking place at the Orange County Convention Center, May 25th through the 28th. We still don't know what we're going to be doing out there as far as panels and such. That is still being deliberated, but we are going to be out there, and we will be returning again to the second time for MegaCon Tampa Bay. That will be taking place September 29th to October 1st. Keep an eye out on marku42.net for more information about that. We will be posting those links out there if they're not on there very shortly, but we will be returning to MegaCon, both Tampa Bay and Orlando. Very excited. They're starting to just trickle in the guests, so you can check out their sites, Google them, to find out more information about that and to purchase your tickets and to find out which hotels are around there. And I can just tell you this, that if you are staying at a Rosen, get to know the full name of that hotel, because I think there's like 3 or 4 different Rosens out there. They have a chain that goes around iDrive, and that is, it confuses a lot of people. And the one place that's just right across the convention center, which is the Rosen Center.
Well, I cannot wait for these conventions. They are going to be a lot of fun. I think that's about all the time we have for the show today, Christian.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any last words?
Just speaking of conventions, just keep an eye out for marku42.net and our Facebook page. We are going to be announcing them more and more as they come up for our appearances. And don't be surprised, again, if we are coming to a town near you. And I'm not just talking about Florida either. We're talking about possibly other states, just like Georgia. We're heading out to WHOlanta, but don't be surprised if we're coming to a state near you. Keep an eye on out, and let us. We'll see you then.
Yeah, don't forget to tweet us at Marku42. Go to our Facebook page, Marku42. Go to our Tumblr page, Marku42. Go to Marku42.net and join the WHOniverse Army. We are all over, and we are... I wanted to let you guys know, if you haven't heard this already, and we're on Krypton Radio, if you haven't known, we have changed our listing page on iTunes. So we ask all of you to subscribe to our iTunes and our Google Play. We want to make this show the #1 Doctor Who podcast and more on iTunes. Please go there. Please give us a rating, 5 stars if you could. And
if you could,
and you should. Definitely, what we would like you to do is write a review and post it there. That would be helpful. And you know what? When you write a review starting next time, we are going to start reading some of those reviews on the show to let you know that you're not just a silent voice. We're going to give you voice here in the WHOniverse. All right. So like I said, that's all we have for our show. We hope you enjoyed it.
Oh, and don't forget to vote for us for the Spacey Awards 2017. We're on there right now.
Yes, please do. We are going to say it, and let's see if we can say it in unison this time. 1, 2, 3. Allons.
Allons-y.
Oh, you're not saying it. Just allons-y by everyone. Bye, everyone. Mark Who 42 was written and presented by Mark Baumgarten, Christian Basil, Iggy Matthews, Zion Kuros, and Patty Hawkins. This episode was edited, directed, and produced by Mark Baumgarten. Visit markwho42.net, where you can register and become part of the WHOniverse Army. We can be contacted by email at mark@markwho42, subject line, ? If you'd like a chance to be a guest on our radio show, send an email to our Media Relations Director, Christian Basil, at markwho42media@yahoo.com. You can have Mark Who 42 entertain at your next event or convention. Go to heroesonhand.com/markwho42. Space Coast Comics is a free monthly magazine found in over 120 locations currently throughout Brevard County, parts of Osceola, Volusia, and Indian River County in Florida, and soon to be available in Chicago. Follow them on Facebook to learn more. Doctor Who and its properties are owned by the BBC, the British Broadcasting Corporation. This show is owned and copyrighted by Mark Baumgarten, 2017. This is Krypton Radio.